Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, author of Your Goal Guide and 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, and creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. You can't reach your goals on your own, you need your people. And every week I bring together some of my people, and today it's a great example. The topic is beyond type A, but really we're going to talk about perfectionism and, being okay with lack of perfection. And this was a great example. So if you're watching this as a GoalChat live stream, we are starting a bit late because we had some technical difficulties. But isn't it wonderful when you have like an example and you could make it like part of the live show? So we're going to kind of roll with this. If you're watching us live or the replay, great. If you're listening to us as GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network, no matter, I don't know, could you hear that? Very loud motorcycle.
Oh, just
I love LA. Anyway, another example live. If you're listening to us as GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network, or listening, watching, live and jiving with us, we are glad you're here. I cannot believe I said those words. Let's blame the heat. And I've got this wonderful panel today. And the other thing that I love so much about it is we scheduled this like 6 months ago. So each one of my guests today, we have KeishaMarie Douglas and AJ Lauer and Evelyn Pacitti. And each of my guests have been on before. And each time they've been on, because I love this idea of talking about being okay with things not being perfect. So we've just been like planning this for a while. And the fact that it's not gone smoothly, I think is just proof of the importance of being okay with things that are not perfect. So after way too long of an introduction to the topic, I would love for you all to introduce yourselves and share why you're here and why you love this topic so much. And KeishaMarie, let's start with you. Who are you? Why are you here? And why do you love this topic so much?
Hello everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Deb, for letting me go first, even though I was the problem with all the technical difficulties. So good evening, everyone. I am KeishaMarie Douglas. I am a retired Air Force veteran, and I have a community, the Veteran Wingwomen Community, where I hold a space for veteran women as they come from the military back into civilian life, in addition to being a content contributor to the Firewatch magazine and a positive intelligence life coach and a speaker. So the topic, wow. Deb, when we set this up a few months ago, it was like I didn't really think that I had anything to share to be here tonight. And just me sharing my journey with you and just sharing just how I've always was chasing something, you showed me that was the reason why I needed to be here tonight. So I have to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here tonight, because I seriously didn't think that it was a thing. I just thought that that's what you do. You just constantly go, 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 and you always got to be perfect. It's always got to be right. But as we can see, it doesn't always have to be right. So thanks.
Well, what is it? Done is better than perfect, or perfect is the enemy of good, or there's so many different bizarre phrases that people use when talking about perfection. And I would think, as someone coming from the military, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't perfection your thing?
Yeah, you really have to. Yeah. Yeah, it really has to be, yeah, straight. And especially coming from the Air Force, because they pay attention to different types of details in the other branches. And so it's, and it's so funny because they used to make fun of us because, like, our shirts, especially during basic training, they had to be folded a certain way and a certain length. Everything just had to be perfect. And so it's crazy because I've kind of adapted that lifestyle, but now I'm like, it really don't have to be. Like, it just don't. Yeah, as I'm sitting here looking around my desk, I'm like, yeah, no, it doesn't have to be perfect. It really, really don't. So yeah, so it's kind of easy now to take your uniform off and kind of let your hair down, so to say, and not have to sit there and worry about everything being so right all the time. Stuff doesn't have to be 100% perfect.
Awesome. And I am sure we will get more into this. But let's meet our other awesome people, shall we? AJ, great to see you.
Good to see you, Deb. It's great to be back.
Please share who you are and why you're here.
Well, my name is AJ Lauer. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the owner of Thriving Ibis Leadership Solutions, which is my company where I help professionals in the science and technology fields build their inclusive leadership skills through executive coaching, workshops, and speaking, and a forthcoming book. Speaking of imperfection, my kids just got home. So if somebody knocks on the door, we may have a cute little visitor at some point here if my husband's not able to keep the cats wrangled downstairs. But I'm here because, Deb, when we were talking at your meetup months ago, you said, AJ, I think this might be a great topic for you. And the way that you said it, I was like, what exactly is Deb perceiving about me in this moment? Is she picking up on my perfectionist vibes or like what's going on here? So, but more seriously, I work a lot with women in science and technology. And I think similar to the Air Force, women in science and tech have this incredible pressure to be perfect all the time because they can't make mistakes because then it's, oh, women don't know how to do this, or non-binary people don't have good attention to detail or whatever it is. Those stereotypes can attach themselves just because of their identity, not because of who they actually are. And so they experience this incredible pressure to be perfect all the time. So I spend a lot of time talking to my clients about how do we tame that just a little bit? You've made it as far as you have because you're awesome. You don't have to be perfect. And so I think that's why I'm here.
And I think another part of it, thriving, that's the title of your company. And I think in order to thrive, you need to let go of that perfect ideal because nothing goes to plan. Okay, maybe things can go mostly according to plan, but let's look at life. Is everything that perfect picture? And sometimes the imperfect picture is even better.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, I am glad you're here. And Evelyn, I am especially glad you're here because it is, as you introduce yourself, also share where you are and what time of day it is.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Pacitti. I'm an American gone European. So for me, it is 1 a.m. because I'm calling in from the Netherlands today. I am an engineer turned life coach. So what I do is I bring a systematic approach to the conversation of well-being and life design. So I think like, how are we looking at our rhythms and our patterns and our feedback loops to really design our life? And the reason that I thought this was really interesting is I'm a recovering workaholic. I'm surrounded by recovering workaholics, and I really work a lot in the burnout and sort of energy management domain. And I think that's a big thing to take into consideration when you're constantly striving for perfection, trying to show up all the time as your best self, and you're doing it and you're doing everything you must to like make it happen and show up. And how do we have that conversation about how can we still do that and maintain our serenity and our energy levels throughout the thing? So that's sort of the spin on the conversation that I'm excited to explore with this group.
And I have to say, for 1 a.m, you are very animated. Is this coffee or just naturally you?
Naturally me with a side of a power nap.
Ooh, we love those power naps. I like it when people call it a disco nap. I think it means the same thing. It's just a funner, more fun name. Oh my goodness. That to me, I just had Legally Blonde vibes. Oh, it's going to be like that, only funner. Yes, absolutely. And we're
Livin' and jivin'.
Well, I am, and I should say that I am in Southern California and we are amidst a heat wave. So if I start melting, it is not your screen. But this, another good example of life and things, they happen and you kind of have to roll with the flow, because if you don't, all it's going to do is stress you out and you're going to get even less done than if you were like, okay, it needs to be perfect, right? Because nothing maybe everything is perfect in its imperfection. What does perfection and perfectionism mean to each of you? And then we can smash it to pieces. So perfectionism, I feel like you want to jump in first, Evelyn.
Oh, sure. Perfectionism. For me, that's the vision that you have in your head of what it's supposed to be and trying to achieve that vision before anything else will happen. And you actually get sort of trapped between the vision of what you want it to be and the thing you're actually creating.
Okay. So it's what you think, but not what's real.
Yeah, perfectionism for me is it's like that loop between like I want it to be the thing in my head so bad that I just keep working on it.
Got it. Well, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because how many times do you spend, 10 times longer than you should to get the same or a worse result, right?
Yeah, and then that goes back to the 80-20 concept, 20% of your output creates 80% of your results.
Got it. Okay. And so what do you think, KeishaMarie? How do you define perfection?
I almost kind of to piggyback. I almost kind of feel like you create it in your head and you're like, okay, this is how it's going to be. And it's almost kind of like you're creating a narrative and you're like, okay, I'm going to have this conversation and it's going to go this way. And you want it to go this way. And you keep trying at it until you get it to go the way that you want it to go. It's almost kind of like the definition of insanity, which is kind of scary. But yeah, it really does kind of feel like that. Just kind of like just a repetitive action. Golly.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me, is doing the same thing and trying to get different results.
It's almost kind of like when you're trying to get your eyeliner right and you're like, it's gotta be absolutely perfect. If you can't get your eyeliner right, then you just got to keep going. And I think we've all seen the reel where the girl is like drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. And then the next thing you know, like she's just it's all over the place and it's just a wrap. So I think that, like, in my head, like that's the best way that I could explain that is what perfectionism is. Like, it has got to be perfect. So it's just how it is.
And isn't it great that we now live in this post COVID world or post lockdown world is probably better, where imperfection is okay on camera, whereas before everything had to be perfect.
Yeah.
AJ, how do you define perfectionism?
Very similarly, it's that I have an idea of how exactly I want this to go, oftentimes broken down by minutia, itty bitty little steps. And then they'll say this, and then they'll do that. And then we'll have the rice will fly or whatever it is for the event that you're planning. I'm laughing about the eyeliner thing because eyeliner is not something that I do. However, I have curly hair, and curly hair is very similar. The more you mess with it, the less pretty it's going to be for you. And so it's kind of one of those where you have to learn how to just do it and then don't touch it and hope for the best. And I think that for me has been a big learning, is getting to the point where I can do something, I can put it out in the world and just stop messing with it.
Stop messing with it.
Well, I'm really glad you said that because I would love it. Do each of you have an example of when you kind of had to get over, like, this aha moment of having to get over perfectionism? AJ?
Man, I can think of so many.
Okay, I know you can think of so many, but there's got to be one that stands out, right?
Yeah, I mean, so there's like showing up at work and realizing that I've spit up on my shirt and there is nothing to be done about it. Like, well, my colleagues know I'm a parent. They know I have an infant at home and this happened on the way into daycare. And so here we are. It doesn't change who I am as a professional. It doesn't change who I am as a human or what I'm bringing to the room, but it is who I am today.
That's a very visual one too, because it's not like you can hide it, right? What about you, Evelyn? Did you have an aha perfectionism moment?
Well, it's interesting. When you asked the question, the thing that came up was actually doing dance when I was a kid. And like you learn all the footwork and you do that. But I remember very distinctly that watching the video afterwards, I was doing completely different footwork. Like I had practiced for a really long time and it was something like close but slightly off. And actually later, the choreographer was like, "Oh, that's good. I'm actually going to take some of that and mix it into like next year's Nutcracker recital." And I don't know. So it's sort of that sometimes the offbeat can sometimes help you.
Yeah.
That's great. And again, really, really visual example. So KeishaMarie, I guess we need an example that we can also see. So
I know, right? And I'm just like, oh man, like how can I top Evelyn? I will say I am a part of a networking group that I get an opportunity to have a presentation. And you know how everybody feels about public speaking. And in my head, I have a way that I want the presentation to go. And so, and actually come to think about it, I've got to speak next week. And so I'm like, okay, so it's going to go like this. I'm going to say this, I'm going to do that. And so I am the type of person where I went through a course called Presentation Zen. And so I use photos to do my PowerPoint. And so instead of me reading off the PowerPoint, I just show photos. And I just remember what I want to say from the PowerPoint. And I kid you not, like I will sit here in my office and I will practice and practice and practice. And then when I get there, it ain't nothing of what I just practiced. Like, and I'm just like, and then when I sit down, I'm like, oh, I forgot to say this. And oh, I forgot to say that. And then I start, like how we start beating ourselves up. So I'm just like, oh man, like I didn't make this point. I didn't make that point. And so I'm beating myself up. And then the next thing you know, like once it's all done and over with, everybody's like, you did such a great job. And I'm like, I did? Like, and so it's just so funny just how people just, you think you do bad, but other people, they hear it and then they just, they hear the message. They love your presentation. They love your energy. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being silly in front of the room. I don't know, but it goes well. So sorry, Evelyn, your Nutcracker dance routine wins. So,
I don't know. I think these are all really good and really important examples. And something that you just said brought up, because I do, goal coaching, but I also help people with their concepts. I help them write their books, develop their book content and book proposals, things like that. And one thing that I find myself saying a lot is you need to own what you love, what you know. Because everybody else, they're rooting for you. And when you remember that people are rooting for you, then when you make a mistake and you're the only one who knows, it's okay. You just kind of roll with it and allow them to love what you're doing and support you. I think, and we met through Innovation Women, which is this amazing, as for lack of a better word, self-service speakers platform for women and few supportive men, right?
Yes.
So snaps and shout out to Bobby Carlton for that. It's important to get out of your own way, I think. And that's a big thing with getting over type A or perfectionism or whatever it is we're calling, is to be okay with the fact that things aren't going your way. So was there a moment for any of you when you're like, I can't do perfect anymore?
Yes. So I defended my dissertation in December of 2020, and we caught COVID in the beginning of February 2021, which, if you remember, was before vaccines. So it was the Delta variant unvaccinated. It was very scary and very intense. And I unfortunately got long COVID from that experience. And so I went from defending a dissertation to struggling to write an email within a couple of months. And that, for me, was a pretty big moment. It was like, well, okay, I can't be the perfectionist that I have always been because I physically cannot. I literally am reaching into my brain to say car and the word truck comes out of my mouth. And so it got to a point where, my family teases me mercilessly for the random things that come out of my head, but or out of my mouth, see? And but those perfectionist ways, it takes a lot of energy. And once I became ill, there wasn't that energy there to do the perfectionist thing anymore. And so my body really taught me the lesson that things were going to have to change.
Yeah.
And how are you doing now?
Up and down. Some days are amazing. Some days are really rough. It just depends on, I could eat 2 bites of something that my body decides it doesn't like, and the next day I'm exhausted. Or if one of the kids wakes up at nighttime, that's always kind of brutal. Anything that disrupts my rest. But much, much better than that. I can write. I'm writing a book now. So, I'm able to write, and I'm much more functional than I was, but it's still here. It's lingering.
Yeah. Oh.
And so you get to take that lesson and apply it to like everything now, right? And I'm guessing it's going to help your clients too.
So far, so good on that. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that conversation of, don't wait until your body forces you to stop doing this, to step back and build yourself up and keep that cup full.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. Wow.
So KeishaMarie, what about you? What was that aha that said, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't perfect anymore.
Yeah. It's almost kind of like similar to AJ. I mean, I've had COVID twice. I haven't had long COVID. But it really does feel like it started taking a toll on my health. And it really felt like my just my health was just getting bad. It felt like because I know my blood pressure was getting up and my weight was going up. And so it was just kind of like just my weight was really, and just my health overall was just really just taking a toll, like having frequent headaches. And it's almost kind of like the stress level was so high that my body was just taking a toll on me. And so, and it just it almost just got to the point to where you've seen the thing where the person just throws the papers up in the air and just be done with it. And that's kind of in a sense, kind of like what I had to do, to where it's just I can't because my health comes first, because I don't have anyone. My family's back in Georgia. I'm down here in Tampa, Florida. I don't have anyone who can come and take care of me. So I have to take care of me first. And so that was kind of the thing. When my health started deteriorating and I'm always tired and exhausted, I was like, oh yeah, we gotta throw the towel. We gotta throw in the towel. We gotta throw up the papers and just let it go, And and I never seen the movie about the whole thing of Let It Go. I don't have any little humans, so I've never seen it. And so that, but that really just kind of comes along, and I'm just I gotta let it go. I really do. So yeah, so kind of like AJ, when my health started telling me, I'm like, okay, yes, ma'am, I'm listening. So yeah.
And it's working for you.
It is working for me because I love my sleep. So I love my sleep. Oh my goodness. And then just to be able to live life on your own terms and do things on your own terms, that's a beautiful experience. So yeah.
Well, good on you. And I don't have any tiny humans either, but I do get both sides of it. We all have all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of deciding to put yourself first on that list, right?
Yeah, we have to put ourselves first. We absolutely have to. And so, so that's how does the saying go? Put your own oxygen mask on before you before you help others put theirs on, and then you got to fill your own cup before you help fill other people's cups. So we could go on and on all night with just amazing quotes and things like that about helping yourself out before you help others. So
one big thing that I always underline when I do my goal setting workshops and consulting and what have you is you make the appointments with yourself to work towards your goals, and you have to treat them with the same goals that you treat an appointment that you would have with a client or a prospect or really anything, and realize that it's only in case of emergency that you are allowed to cancel on yourself. And then you can't even cancel, you just have to move the appointments. But knowing that you need to be near the top of the list or at the top of the list most of the time, I think is a big part of embracing life, balance, harmony, whichever of those words you want to use.
Yeah. You call an appointment. You have an appointment. You got an appointment, and I just sorry. I feel, because I know like we're broadcasting on like several platforms right now, and like I'm about to tell on myself, but I have a setting on my phone where it says I'm in a meeting, and so all my notifications are off, and I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting all the time.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. So, and Evelyn, what about you? What was your aha?
I think for me, the sort of when do you have to, like, perfectionism is not really something that jives, is because I am neurodivergent. I work and process information really differently. So sometimes the thing that I think is perfect, when I would show up for something, it would look so different from what was like expected, but it was my perfect work. And I think that shift of understanding that what my perception of perfection is versus what other people was so different. It gave me a little bit of freedom to start to redefine it and like work across that. So
I love it.
Yeah, well, it goes back to we'll throw another one of those overused sayings, know thyself, because when you know how you work best, you can.
Yeah.
And even when you know that your vision is going to be different than the outcome, that's knowing what you're capable of creating. And that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So we need to do a quick shout out to Christopher Johnson and George Finkelman, who are watching live. So we are glad you are here. You are regular watchers, because I do see those thumbs up and the hearts you send every week. So thank you both. And if you have a thought about how you embrace perfectionism or lack thereof, it's the better word, let us know. And if you're watching this as the replay, feel free to comment as well, because we want to know your aha moments so we can support you embracing that perfect is not being perfect. So in this whole journey from perfect to non-perfect, or whatever we're calling it, beyond type A, we'll do a callback. Was there, or is there, a trick that works best for you in terms of figuring out what is and is not in alignment with what you are doing moving forward?
Oh, yeah. That is not the question I thought you were going to ask.
I know.
What did you think?
Like, oh, a trick. Man.
Please tell me what you thought I was going to ask, and I'll ask that later. But it's okay. So for me, and I'll let you guys think, for me, a lot of it is about that balance. What can you put on the side so you can move forward on other things? So I mentioned before, got a new book coming out, 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, will be out in January. In this book, I interviewed, it's 52 secrets, but the secret is I actually interviewed 60 people about their best practices for staying focused, growing their network, getting more done in less time, et cetera, et cetera. And it was a wonderful project, one that I wrote in less than 3 months. But that meant a lot of things got pushed to the side. I mean, yes, I would do my clients and my freelancing. I got a list of things that my deadline was just in August. So I've got a list of things, and they will get done. But I think for me, a big part is knowing you can't do everything, but also telling people I'm on deadline for my book, and I will get back to you, and feel free to nudge me in September. So I'm just waiting for all the people to nudge me in September. So this is, and it's a callback to my second book. I self-published the first two, the second two through Mango, but the second book, when I did my write on blogging, I think it was how to create, write, and promote your blog. And I was doing my first version of this podcast at the time. It was called Guided Goals. And I knew I could not do a weekly podcast and get this book done and out. So obviously this time GoalChat was, it's basically, the book is GoalChat, me bringing people together for their best piece of advice. So, but looking at your life and saying, okay, what can you put a pin in so you're able to move forward on other things? At least for me, that's what works. Did I give you all enough time to think about your answer for this? Okay, you're nodding first, Evelyn. So go.
I was like, AJ seems very enthusiastic.
Yeah, that's what I was
having the answer. I was thinking, AJ, you go.
This is like a nose goes thing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you need a minute, I'm happy to go.
Oh, no, it's fine. So your question was like, how do you know that you're like doing things that are sort of in aligned? Was the question?
Oh, no, the question was, what is a trick that you use to make sure that you are aligned in everything, so you get that balance, that harmony within your life?
Yeah. So for me, it comes down to really monitoring my own energy levels. That for me, like that is the one metric that I think sort of encapsulating all of the sort of mental, physical, and emotional elements is how much energy do I have and how am I going through each day? And there's a period of time where like I will have days that are depleting. Maybe I have a deadline. Maybe I have a family event, and that's okay. But how long have I been running that way? And if I'm working on something that's leaving me constantly depleted, then that's the question for me to come back and ask, hey, is this in alignment? Am I pushing in a way that doesn't make sense and vibe with me?
Ooh, I love that. I think it's so, well, the D and Deb method is determine your mission. So when you know what it is you're working on, what you're working towards, it makes it really easy to do the monitoring.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're like this, definitely in sync on that. And knowing your body too, hugely important, because as especially KeishaMarie and AJ attested to, when you are not at optimal level.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I was going to chime in and say that, like, listening to my body, like, that's my thing. Like, I got to listen to my body, and my body will tell me, okay, we don't have the mental space to do that. And so, like, Evelyn, I think you nailed it on the head, because like, if I don't have the mental space to do something, like it's almost kind of like you have to take a step back and almost kind of take that mental recharge. Like you really have to. And I kid you not, like I don't know if it's like something that kind of like just happened with me just this year, and I'm just like, if I can't do it, I can't do it, And so, and especially kind of like at my age, I'm just like, okay, we need to really like listen to ourselves. Like I tell people, like I'm coming into my rich auntie status, and so and so it's like, okay, and so I know if my rich auntie is like, I don't feel like doing that, then I don't feel like doing it. So so listen to my body. Thanks for letting me steal, Deb. I really did. So I'm so sorry. So thanks for letting me steal.
So I'm also getting saying no is part of this whole thing.
We're streaming on several platforms right now. I can't say what I really want to say, but saying no is that's a great way to say it.
And if you are listening to this as the podcast, everybody is kind of smirking and nodding at the same time.
Ooh, yeah.
AJ.
Yeah, I think that, saying no, being willing to say no to things, but taking that moment to not only definitely check in with my body and see where I'm at and how is my body reacting to this? Is my body reacting in an excited way, or is it reacting in a way that says like, not so excited about this, maybe we shouldn't take it on. But then also, oh, yep, lost my thought.
Long COVID. We're blaming COVID.
We're blaming long COVID for
Yeah,
that.
just gonna blame COVID.
It was going to be something about longer term goals, like checking in to make sure that the thing that I am taking on, does that in combination with the other things that I'm doing drive me toward my longer term goals?
Mhm.
So, am I okay with saying no to this? Does it set me back, or will it give me the space to continue moving forward in the other ways that I need to be moving forward? And that has really helped me with saying no to things.
Yeah. Something else, AJ, that you made me think about was I have a couple of notebooks, and especially like if it's something that I want to do, like I was like, okay, I'm gonna write this down in this book, and if it's still is sitting there with me, and I really want to put some energy into it and kind of work on it, then at least I know it's in the book, and then when the time presents itself, then I can handle that, because this brain is always thinking about ideas, and one of my strengths is connections and creative ideation. I think that's what it's called, from the Strength Finders MacBook. And so that's my thing. Like, I love coming up with ideas. I love connecting people. And so like, I really have to write things down, because if not, I know I can get off balance, because I'm trying to do all the things all the time. And yeah, we don't want that to happen. We really don't. So,
and you can't be perfect if you're doing all the things all the time.
Yeah,
and not to say that we're all striving toward perfection, because we're all trying to say that we're trying not to be so much like that. But know that if there is any sort of that perfectionist strain left in you, the more you take on, the less likely you're going to be able to get there.
Yeah, because then you won't be at 100% at none of the things that you're doing. So, yeah.
I feel like something you just said, AJ, I feel like we should mention, we're not trying to be imperfect. We still want to produce outputs that are going to make us proud. It's just that, I don't know if it's that inch or that vibe or that level between, okay, this is good. What is it? There's a quote, art is never finished, only abandoned. When are you going to be okay with something abandoned?
One of my mentors, one of her statements is, B- work changes lives.
Okay, say that again slower.
B- work.
Oh, B-, like a B- in school.
In
See,
school?
I heard B- work. It made no sense, but the way you just repeated
like,
it does.
Work that is at a B- level, so that's sort of like less than perfection, like in that 80% range, changes lives.
Yes, and it makes a lot more sense now that you said it correctly. So thank you. Thank you for saying it imperfectly and then giving another good example.
Yeah.
That makes me think of, in the tech world, we talk a lot about minimum viable products, or MVPs. So what is the first thing you can get out there that is the minimum of what will work for what you're doing? And in some cases that may mean, in the business sense, we might be making a really nice little Google document to get people into our program rather than having a splashy web page. Or we, rearrange our offices and hide all the mess, because that's the minimum viable product right now.
That's the thing I was doing before I jumped on the call. I was like, okay, how does it look behind me? So
yes,
it doesn't have to be totally redecorated. It just has to not be messy on the camera.
Yep. I moved the burrito blanket out the way so that y'all couldn't see it. So doing good. So,
I welcome a burrito blanket. I definitely would appreciate that.
Yeah.
What you were talking about before as well, AJ, about the long-term goals and seeing if things are in alignment, are going to help you move forward. Something else that my my TEDx was on, talk about imperfection, perfections. My TEDx, the magic of your motto. I'm great at speaking. Well, I think off the cuff, but for the TEDx's, you have to submit what you are talking about and you're supposed to stay to the script, which is, by the way, my nemesis. But anyway, side note aside about how imperfect that performance was for myself, the point of when you know your mission, when you know who you are about, it's really a decision tree. When opportunities come your way, you know what to say no to, because when you say no to something that isn't a fit, it's like saying yes to yourself. So what are, going a little bit off the beaten work path a little, what are ways that you say yes to yourself on a regular basis so you can keep with that a harmony, that balance, that flow? KeishaMarie.
I'm like, sleep.
Sleep is good.
Yeah. I don't want y'all to think like I sleep all the time. Okay, so I don't sleep all the time. But what I really like, one thing that I noticed that I really do is, like, even before I hopped on the call here, I was like, okay, I got to make sure that I plan my day for tomorrow. Like that's like one thing that I was just kind of thinking, like just basically planning, but also understanding that sometimes everything ain't gonna go as planned. So like, it's almost kind of like you plan it, but you're not so attached. Well, how does the saying go? Because of course, that's what we're doing is all these sayings. You make the plan, but you don't get attached to the outcome or something like that. Like that's kind of like one of the things that kind of helps me a little bit. Because I'm not like, if I don't hit all the things that I want to do in one day, I'm not going to, like, I just know I could just push it on to the next day. So I'm not so excited about it, like over anxious about it. Like now it's almost kind of like, whew, like, okay, if I can't finish it, I can't finish it. So
years ago, someone said you should only plan to accomplish a certain percentage of your to-do list every day.
Wow.
And maybe it's half, maybe it's 3/4. I guess it depends on the length of your list.
Yeah.
But I think going into it knowing you're not going to get everything done, there's some freedom in that. So
yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like I do my to-do list on Sunday, like when I do my brain dump. And like I go, like I'm at the point now in my life where I'm like, okay, if I threw everything on a brain dump like page, like I just kind of like look through it and be like, okay, what can I work on today? And I really don't dive so deep into it and don't get so just strung out trying to finish things on that to-do list every day. Like, because I know it ain't gonna happen. Like I'm working on creating a nonprofit, and I'm like, okay, what steps have I accomplished? And I'm like, okay, how to say Rome wasn't built in what is it? Rome wasn't built in a day. So I know this nonprofit's not going to be done in a day.
Deb, you're going to have to add a subtitle to this podcast of, like, how many cliche phrases can we use? It's the idiom podcast.
Yeah.
If you didn't edit, we want to counter ding, 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 ding.
Bien type A, bring on the cliches. Well, cliches are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, AJ, how do you say yes to yourself?
I schedule in time in my day and in my planner for the things that I know I need to do for my health. So my to-do list includes eating Brazil nuts every day for my thyroid, and doing my little puffer thing for my lungs and those kinds of things. Those are included on my daily work list because they do take energy. And I want to make sure that the energy that I'm putting into my day really also includes pouring into myself, because if it doesn't, then I very quickly run out of energy. So the gift that I give myself is making sure that the self-care is on the list every day.
Yeah, that's good.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Evelyn?
I make sure that I sort of give myself permission to have a chunk of time where I don't have an agenda. So I give myself the gift of agenda-free space every day. So whether I'm scrolling my phone or working on a side project or researching something that doesn't seem to make sense right now, but I'm really geeking out about, I just allow myself that space. And I find if I don't give myself that agenda-free time in a day, I get really antsy and I feel very constrained by the rest of my sort of day-to-day routines.
I love that. Can I yes and?
Of course.
I always think because we've all been there. We've had a meeting canceled at the last minute, right? At least once a week. Something on someone drops the ball on their end. I always say when you get that gift of time because a meeting goes sideways or just jumps off your calendar, don't use it for work. Use it for self-care or fun or something that's going to enrich you, because you were going to spend the time anyway. So you don't need to fill it with work. You can fill it with you.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I have to ask, Evelyn, what question did you think I was going to ask?
I thought it was you were going to ask, what is the tip to prevent perfectionism?
Oh, okay. Let's do that one. What is your best tip for preventing perfectionism? Why don't you start, Evelyn?
Taking the uncomfortable action. So doing it, producing it, sharing it before you feel ready or completely confident. Do it uncomfortable.
Oh, so AJ saying, yes, I'm writing a book, and you saying I'm starting a podcast, and KeishaMarie saying I'm working on my nonprofit.
Yeah.
It's not done yet, but you're still throwing it into the world, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I just outed all three of you. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Accountability, what?
Right. And it's so funny because I've even mentioned in Deb's spaces that I am working on my book as well. And so and she even hit me with, okay, now what are you doing to work on it? And I was like, ooh, yeah.
It's default mode, because I am goal girl and book girl kind of rolled into one, because we all have something to say that only we can say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good reminder.
Mm-hmm. It
And
really is.
especially in this crowd and this crowd of people, you know, I do this, I do taste buds with Deb as well, but I get to talk to people about things that they're working on that they're really excited about. But isn't that why we do what we do?
Yeah.
Is so we can take from our lives and help others.
Yeah.
And bonus, we get to help ourselves in the process in sharing.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about it. My birthday is actually 1 month from today. So I'm like, wow. So, okay, I've got to have something of substance at a point of completion at least 1 month from today. So.
Okay. So what is it going to be? Is it going to be an outline, a draft? Are you working on a book proposal? Do I need to have that conversation with you about the value of a book proposal?
We might.
Again?
I was actually just thinking about self-publishing.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, yes. We might have to chat once we're done here. We might.
Yeah. Well, it's, and I believe that it's important to have a book proposal, whether you self-publish or traditional publish, because it is a roadmap. And that's, you know, if you hear me talk a lot, it's the way that the work I do helping people with their books is really parallel to the work I do helping people with goals. It's all about that roadmap. But when you're looking at whether it's a book or a course or a project or something that you really want to get out in the world, you have to think, okay, what is this? Why is it unique? And why am I the person to share it? And that is the first step for putting any project together and getting it out in the world.
I love it. Yeah. So I've got some answers for that, but that's not what we're here today. So
Well,
yes.
but it is, because did Evelyn, or did Evelyn not just say you have to put things out in the world before they're actually done to kind of
Yeah.
get you going?
Yeah. Yeah. You're right
So
about
we
that.
were
Thanks,
just being
Evelyn.
an interfacing real life example of that.
Right. So thanks, Evelyn.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you in the hot seat.
That's it. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, so AJ, same question. What can people do to get out of that perfectionism mindset?
I love it when people work on things outside of work or wherever they are most perfectionist that forces them to be imperfect. So whether that be improv comedy or I really like to sew and there are always mistakes all over the clothes that I sew, but I wear them anyway. Or, writing a book and getting it out, or putting out LinkedIn posts that haven't been revised 15 times because you just got to get it out, right? Whatever that is, having a hobby or something that forces that habit regularly so that you are practicing being okay with putting imperfect things out into the world.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, that's so good. Can I tell you one of my big pet peeves are people who spend hours poring over writing a 300-word blog post? It's not necessary. Write it, take a break, read it, revise it, post it. Bam. Right?
Yeah.
But I think, a lot of times perfectionism and imposter syndrome are really tightly linked. There
Mhm.
are perfectionist ways of being that cause people to feel like imposters in certain spaces. And so I think for a lot of people, part of the reason that we perfect is because we're trying to make ourselves feel like we belong and we are qualified enough, where if we polish it enough, it'll be long enough. It'll be perfect enough to show that I actually am qualified for this. And so, yeah, I think that perfectionism and imposter feelings are so tightly interwound, that we have to have a little bit of grace for that as well, because there are lots of reasons that cause us to feel like we need to be perfect, or that can lead us to feel like imposters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AJ, and I know we're kind of cutting it, Deb. Just hearing you say that, like you reminded me, like when we first went into the pandemic, and we all remember when everyone was showing up online and they were doing things online. And a little transparent moment, I was kind of like, I don't want to go online. I don't want to show anything. I don't want to create any reels. I don't want to have any content or anything like that, because as we've been here almost an hour, I don't know if you ladies have noticed, but half of my face is paralyzed. And so I actually have Bell's palsy, but I got it back in 96. And so I went through my entire life just having this paralysis on this side of my face. And so I don't like looking at myself on the camera. I always kind of like try to hide it, but it will look kind of weird if I just sit here like this the whole time, because y'all would be like, what is she doing? Like, what's going on? So I have got to the point to where we talk about accepting your imperfections. This is my imperfection. But how I heard Sandra Bullock, and I know here we go again with another cliche thing. But I heard Sandra Bullock say years ago, probably like, golly, like I think it was like right after she got done recording Miss Congeniality or something like that, where she talked about your imperfections are your perfections. And when I heard her say that, like it really registered to me. And I was like, oh yeah, because can't nobody else have this. Like my whole thing is, just because half of my face is paralyzed, like I still am a nice, genuine person, and I'm not gonna let this stop me. So if you follow me or anything, like you'll see I do have some reels out there. And so I'm just like, hey, like this is it. This is me. If you don't like it, that's not my problem. So yeah, so that's one thing that you just made me think about, AJ. And I was like, okay, I gotta find a right spot to share that with y'all, because I kid you not, Deb, this is a perfect time for me to be on tonight, because yeah, I've got my paralysis.
I've known you for a few years now.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
A lot of people don't, until I actually come out and I share that I have a paralysis in my face. Like a lot of people don't know. So imperfections, yeah. So this is my imperfection. This is my perfection. This is what makes me perfect. So
And you answer the question without answering the question, which is own your imperfections is the
Yeah.
best way to
Yeah.
get out of being a perfectionist.
Yeah. This is it. This is me, honey. Like I can break out the pom-poms if you want me to. So
Amazing.
this is
And
it.
for those listening, she just did.
Yes. I have-
So what can, and these are all great tips, so you can choose from the menu of all of the great advice or choose something new, but what goal do you want to leave people with? What can they do today, tomorrow, immediately to combat that need for perfection? AJ, what goal do you want to gift?
I am going to go back to putting something out into the world that is not, 50 times polished. So my goal for the listeners is that you put something out in the next week out into the world in whatever way makes sense to you and whatever venue you choose to inhabit that is not perfect.
I love it. KeishaMarie, what goal are you gifting the nice people today?
Do the wing eyeliner and don't care. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. I will take that on as my challenge. I'll send you pictures.
I will too. This will be the official follow-up LinkedIn post is AJ and I attempting to do wing eyeliner and sharing the post.
Because I kid you not, like hearing AJ say that, because I was thinking, like I know there are some people who hold themselves back from wanting to do anything or show up or create any type of content. And so that's what I was thinking. But I was just like, no, girl, like you want to do the wing eyeliner? Do it. You want your hair curly? Do it. Like, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say that even though that's my answer. I'm not even going to say it's a perfect answer. That's my perfect answer. So.
Do something. Stop holding yourself back. I will not be doing the wing eyeliner because I will tell you off the bat that I will fail miserably. I know my strengths.
Oh, this is not going to be pretty.
I don't even think I have the right tools to do a wing eyeliner. I think I have to use my kid's magic marker probably.
Not permanent.
That's a different type of problems. How to get magic marker out of your eye. Okay, Evelyn, what goal are you gifting?
So I think I'm going to riff on what was said and say, not only put something out there, but maybe take it as an item on your to-do list. Like make it a success metric for you that I did something uncomfortable today, or I put something imperfect out, and let that in itself be the success of the thing, that I did the action. And then that completely can transform the way that the outcome of putting your imperfections out there.
Beautiful.
Okay, so do something imperfect. Yeah. Pretty much that.
No. So when you, on your to-do list, the act of doing something imperfect or putting something uncomfortable out there is the thing. It's not the post. That's not the to-do list, but it's the act of doing something uncomfortable. That is the thing to do. That's on your to-do list. I did something uncomfortable.
So for example, I'm thinking Evelyn is saying, okay, so me and my book. So I would make a post and say my book is coming out October 9th.
Exactly. Or maybe send an email to an agent. Something like, see?
Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, oh.
Exactly. So just doing that uncomfortable action can sometimes be enough. And for me, sometimes when I frame my days based on that, like my whole day's like I succeeded because I did something uncomfortable today. Win.
Gotcha.
And quick shout out and hello to Gabe, who just tuned in, who put me in his weekly roundup of live shows to watch. So thank you so much, Gabe. If you want to give your favorite imperfect tip in the comments, please share and share away. And yes, you can restart from the beginning. I am live every week on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And you can go to thedebmethod.com/blog to read the recaps and get the links. And this is the perfect time for me to ask you all for the links. Where can people learn more about each of you? AJ?
You can find me at www.thrivingibis.com or on LinkedIn. If you search for AJ Lauer, EDD, that's where you can find me.
And I do put the LinkedIn links in the recap as well. Evelyn, where can people learn more about you?
You can find me at measurablewellness.com or on LinkedIn. Those are my two favorite places.
Awesome. And KeishaMarie?
Probably the best place to find me is just anywhere. It's LinkedIn, but it's KeishaMarie online. Facebook is KeishaMarie Douglas. LinkedIn is KeishaMarie Douglas. Instagram is KeishaMarie Douglas. I try to keep it all streamlined. Try to make it as simple as pie. So.
Well, we do like our consistent branding. And as I said before, I am at the Deb Method everywhere. And again, debmethod.com/blog. And you can also subscribe to GoalChat at your favorite place to listen to podcasts. I'm on all the things, and GoalChat is part of the Marketing Podcast Network. And as I said before, I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific with awesome people to share what's working for them so you can pull it into your life and have it work for you a little bit better. And if you need a little bit more help towards your goals, you can pick up a copy of your goal guide at your favorite place to buy books. And you can pre-order a copy of 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, which will be out in January 2025. To kind of get used to saying 2025 because we're going to blink and it's going to be here. And I want you all to start thinking about what successes, what wins you are planning to have by the end of the year. You're imperfect, you're wonderful, you're beyond type A ways of going about things to get things done and get the things that you love out into the world. So before we wrap, what final thought would you like to leave us all with? KeishaMarie?
Whew, final thought. Can I hit you with another cliche line?
I wish you would.
I mean, that's what I've been doing just all night. I want to tell people to enjoy the journey. That's probably one of the biggest things that I want to tell people, to enjoy the journey, and just laugh as much as possible. Like when I was in the Air Force, I used to be a dental assistant, and so when I was going through school to learn how to be a dental assistant, they talked about smile as much as possible while you still have your teeth, and so that is just like we have to laugh. We have to enjoy. We got to enjoy life. So that's my final message that I have.
Love it. Evelyn, what final thought do you want to leave us with?
For me, is there's more flexibility in life than you give it credit for. So explore and see what you can create.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, final thought to you, AJ.
I'm going to take KeishaMarie's lead, and I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a cliche and say strive for progress over perfection.
Oh, yes.
Okay, say that one more time.
Strive for progress over perfection.
Strive for progress.
As long as you're moving forward, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Because done is better than perfect, but I think even a happy is even better than done.
Yes.
But we can make up our own cliches here. Thank you all so much, AJ, Evelyn, KeishaMarie, for tuning in. Thank you, whether you are watching this as GoalChat Live, the replay, or listening to us as the GoalChat podcast. Thank you for taking the time to embrace imperfection and enjoy our imperfect conversation. Whatever you want to put out in the world, go on out there and go for it, because we know you can do it.